Hey, how y'all doing? This is Steve Dash. I was the guy who was Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 2, with the bag over the head. Not like the regular guys. And you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Oh, there's my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, Happy New Year, Harley.
Oh, you stop it.
Oh,
Stop.
No.
Stop.
Happy New Year, Harley.
Happy New Year, Tim.
How are you? Yeah.
I don't want to go into the new year. I'm not going to do it. Can't make me now. Happy New Year, Timo, my friend.
Yes.
2019 already. Huh?
I know. Now, as we record
Where's my
this,
flying car, Timo?
Right. Well, as we record this, it's still 2018, and it's actually Christmas Eve morning.
Yeah.
As we record this, but we record things a week behind.
Yeah.
And so as we are a week behind, and on top of wishing everyone a happy new year, we have to kind of be a buzzkill for 1 second here, because like I said, we record a week behind. Okay. Yeah. So last week when we put the show up, we did not have an opportunity to say anything or pay our respects to Mr. Steve Dash.
Yes.
Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th Part 2. As he says so eloquently, with the bag over the head.
Yes, yeah.
And now anybody who knows Steve or follows Steve online or anything knew that he had some complications with diabetes. He had just had his leg amputated.
Oh, man, yeah.
And
oh, jeez.
Yeah, so now I don't know how voluntary that was. Sure. But I know he had to do it, and it seemed as if he was going to get a prosthetic that was going to work good for him. He was still going to be able to walk, and he was gearing to go to a convention. I don't remember which convention it was, but he was gearing to do that. And the next thing you know, I woke up one morning, and you open your phone or your device up, and you see that Mr. Steve Dash had passed away, which was very shocking. To me. Yeah. But it was. As far as I know, due to complications, of course, from the diabetes, and I'm assuming the leg amputation. But Steve was a very good guy to us. I'd say friendly, but he was just as friendly and cranky to everybody. He was pretty honest.
Sure was.
But I think he knew that we loved him in that film.
Yeah.
And he was definitely someone who enjoyed going to the shows. He went to a lot of them. He was there for the right reasons. I don't think he needed to go. But he was there for the right reasons.
I think so too. And Steve was he was a nice guy, but he, like you said, he didn't pull any punches by any means, and I remember first meeting Steve. Actually, I talked to him on the phone for the first time, and I had done the Baghead Jason, the one with the bag on the head.
Right, the T-shirt. Yeah.
I did a design and a T-shirt design for it. And as Tim O knows, and most of our fans, our thousands upon millions of fans know that we are big fans of the Part 2. And for me, and I said, here, I'm a guy who plays hockey. I'm a goalie, for Christ's sakes. I've wore a lot of goalie masks in my life. But my favorite Jason still is and will always be the Baghead Jason, Steve Dash, and so here I'm calling this guy on the phone. I'm nervous. And, I've been watching some Sopranos lately, Timo, and I thought I might have been calling Tony Soprano when I called. No, but Steve was a nice guy. When I called, I talked to him and I said, Steve, I told him who I was and what I was doing. I said, I want to make a shirt. I made a shirt. And I would like to bring it to somebody. No. I said, well, Steve, no. No, I've done that before and I don't want to do it again. No. I said, no, Steve, this is the thing, buddy. I made the shirt. I will buy the shirts, bring them to the show. And if you just put them on your table, we could split them. He said, you do that for me? I said, yeah. I said, for sure. That would be great. He said, okay, that's great. And ever since then, and I, got to meet him. I think we were in Cincinnati, maybe, Tim, or was it? Actually, you know what? I think it might have been. Was it Cincinnati or Columbus that one time?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But yeah. So we took the shirts, and he had actually. What was nice, what he would do is he would sign them and sell them for $30. So then I even still got my $15 that I would have been selling it for at the booth.
Right.
And he just was such a nice guy that way to me, which at that point in time gave me so much confidence.
Right.
Too. And here I, not only am I meeting the guy that we loved,
sure,
but, doing some stuff. And ever since then, he was really good to me. And I know I'd met him a number of times after that. We always did business together. And he just was a nice guy. He was a really nice guy. And I know you and I spent a little time with him at Dick Hammer's show, Vet City Con show last year, in the mornings and stuff like that. So it's sad to hear, because I liked Steve and probably, we have some celebrities, Tim, that we call friends and things like that. And Steve was probably one of the ones that I knew as well as any, almost, just, we weren't pals, but we were acquaintances and we did business together, and he was a good person to me. And plus, like I said, he's Jason, the first Jason to me. I'm sorry, he is to me. So,
right. The first villain Jason. Yes. He was, creepiest looking one too, if you ask me.
Yes.
He looked creepy because he looked real. Like it looked like, oh my God, what is this guy? What's under there? And stuff. The thing with Steve is that, I think what you're kind of getting to is that he was nice, but brutally honest. And so he could lay you a haymaker out of nowhere. He's got that East Coast kind of attitude. But the thing with that, the thing I like about those kind of people is that when they're being cool to you, they're not just doing it to be cool. Yeah. They're doing it because they're genuine people. And I like genuine people more than I do fake nice people. Fake nice people drive me nuts. And I don't mean like the pleasantries at the table when someone pays you $30 for 2 minutes of their time in a picture. I'm talking about some of these people are fake, not even in that situation too. And he wasn't. If he was fake, he was a fake salty fella too. Sometimes, What did he tell us the one time when? When he was getting divorced, and I think we just said, I'm sorry to hear that. He's like, I don't know why everybody's so sorry.
I said, I'm sorry to hear that. And he said, why do people keep saying that to me? I said, well, and I think you kind of helped jump to my defense a little.
right. Yeah. So it was, he had the quick wit real quick. It's like,
the thing is, and he said, I don't like to hear that. If someone had an awful, terrible relationship, but my thing is I'd spent time with him and his wife on few occasions having drinks, and I remember him introducing me to his wife and all that, it's just he was so you
just don't want to see that break up. That's all. It's just hard to see because it's not easy, it's not fun for that kind of stuff
and
to
I don't think he was it wasn't very, I don't know, so and you don't want to see it.
No.
I love Timo.
It just doesn't love you a lot.
That's why I call myself the potentate of hate. But but God bless him and his family. Yeah. And he as also like Richard Brooker, knowing him too. It's just they were really nice, genuine guys. They said neither of them pulled punches, and they treated us nice and fair. And I'll actually miss both of them. They were nice gentlemen.
I definitely agree. And Steve was a cool guy. We liked him a lot. And he took that great picture with Danny in Kansas City when he was at the Kansas City show where me and Angie were helping Danny. Yeah. And I think Cassie was there too, if I'm not mistaken. She was there. Yeah. So we were helping Danny and Cassie, and he was there, and they were both wearing your t-shirt. They were both wearing Danny was wearing his Jake t-shirt, and Steve was wearing his Jason t-shirt, so they took a picture with it together. That was one of my favorite pictures I took for you. To send that to you.
Yeah, and that was awesome. And it's things like that just
right. And of course, I noticed. They didn't notice. They were standing there wearing the same. I noticed. I was like, hey, if I don't get this on camera, or this, Ben will kill me. Yeah. Kind of thing. So, but
I appreciate that, Timo, and I appreciate them too.
Yes. I'd like to say something real quick. Now, Harley, sometimes that me, not you, sometimes, and I'm a little more cantankerous. So sometimes I kind of say, I think it's when a quote celebrity or a celebrity in some communities, Steve was not a celebrity, but to the horror fans, he was. Okay. So I find it morbid. This is my personal opinion. I've gotten over this. I don't worry about it anymore, but I find it very morbid and self-serving when people will post a picture that they paid $30 for with themselves and that person when that person dies, almost like jackpot. Yeah. I got him, jackpot. Look at that. Well, now I just let that go because it's the world we live in, and I don't get it. I think it's morbid. I don't like it. Now I'm going to say something real quick, and I'm scolding people here. When Steve passed, it was a shock.
Yeah.
And his family had requested that people do not tag him in posts for a while because they were trying to get a hold of the granddaughters and stuff and let them know. They didn't know yet. They wanted to be the ones to tell them. They didn't want to find out online. Now, I found not the fact that people were tagging Steve in the morning. I'm over that. I'm over that. People were taking pictures with they were putting up their pictures with them. Anyway, I'm over the morbid stuff with with people putting their pictures up and stuff like that. But the family requested people take tags off until they can maybe make their rounds and announce it themselves in their own way.
Yeah.
The response to that confirms my suspicion.
Yeah.
My whatever that people, this is self-serving to people. It's about them. It's not about, they don't care about Steve Dash. They don't care anything about Steve. What they care about is looking cool in school. That's what they care about. And that's it. But the response, the indifference that people had, there was people trying to help the family, and they were going around the internet and they were putting up a little comment, very, very polite comment, telling them the family has respectfully requested people
do not tag
until they can, the granddaughter. And these people are like, this is how I feel. You're stepping on how I feel, man. This is it. It's like, what does have?
Say what you feel. Don't put a tag on there, dummy.
Right. What does how you feel make it? The dude, he's not going to see it. He's dead.
Right.
He's not going to see the tag. The only people who are going to see the tag are the people the family wants to tell first. And I'm telling you right now, all you people, all of you who knew and tried to make good off this should be ashamed of yourselves. Mm-hmm. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You claim this guy was so great to you and so nice. You cared about this. You can't wait for 10 minutes before you get your own glory hole optics of I stood with Steve Dash. You and 50 million other people, man. We all were friends. All of us. Everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. But give some damn respect for Christ's sake. It made me angry if you didn't notice. I had to say that. And I'm not going to go on Facebook and post this shit. I want you to hear what I'm saying. This is about humans, about people. He spent, 2 weeks in that bag?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It might mean something to me or you, but you got to step back and understand this was a father, a husband, a friend, a coworker to people.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even that people were tagging him. But when you actually disrespect his family and just don't listen to what they say.
Right. I think you might be disrespecting him at that point.
Absolutely. You're disrespecting people in general. That's just awful.
Yeah.
You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You don't deserve friends like Steve. And maybe all of us don't, but you're aggressively not deserving it.
Yeah. Well, I had a hard time because you sent me the message early on in the day, and I saw it come up, and I was working, and I didn't even really have the energy to respond to it,
Sure.
you know, and I even at the time didn't even have the energy to kind of think about it. 'Cause I knew it was going to upset me, you know, a little. And the thing is like, it was funny, even later on in the day, Billy said, oh, he even saw the message. And even Billy over here knows who Steve Dash, you know,
Right.
from us doing the shirts for him.
Right.
And he said, oh, Ben. And I said, no, I know. I said, I'm waiting till later where I can respond to Timo thoughtfully and, you know, and stuff. And it's like, I didn't even want to go on to Facebook to see that stuff because I knew it was just going to be a whole, you know, and like I said, you know, that, yeah.
It's again, it's not the people we're posting and tagging. Okay.
Yeah.
I've already said my piece about that. However, when someone requests you do this, we should pull together and pull that shit down and let that family deal with their struggle. We don't need to involve the family in our grief. It's different than theirs. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Put yourself in someone else's shoes, for God's sake. So anyway, but we're going to miss Steve. And that's it. And we're going to miss him. I mean, he was an acquaintance. We loved what he did. And we're going to miss him at the shows. And yeah, he was just at Vet City Con last year. Last time we got to see him. I got to see him a couple more times before that when I was hanging out with Danny, helping him at a couple shows. Yeah. So, but glad we got to know him. Yeah, me too. So, and God bless him and his family, and he's in a better place, Timo. Absolutely,
so they say.
Well, Mr. Steve Dash from Timo and Harley, it was a pleasure knowing you. It was a pleasure meeting you, and Godspeed. So,
yes, sir. And
moving
thanks.
on. Yes,
and thank you.
Yes, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's see here. Again, I mentioned Vet City Con, so I'm just going to jump right in and remind everybody that at the end of January, we have Vet City Con in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Corvette Museum. That's right, Mr. Deadly Cameras show. We also, at the end of May, have the inaugural Retro Invasion Weekend.
Cleveland.
Old School Cinema Joe. That's his handle. So it's going to be his show. And
that's right.
I tell you what, we got Danny Hicks and we have a Mr. Bob Kurtzman. Mr. Ben Harley, I'm going to tell you something about Bob Kurtzman.
He's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. Let me tell you something about him. Okay. At Retro Invasion Weekend, because you might want to speak to him on this. Okay. So Mr. Eric Red, who wrote The Hitcher, and he did the movies Bad Moon, which I like a lot, and Body Parts, is doing a Bigfoot film. You like that?
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. You spoke of this to me.
Yes.
Which gives me some hope, right? And you too.
I got more hope for you. I got more hope for you. The effects are being worked on by Mr. Steve Johnson. Steve Johnston did this little werewolf in a movie called Bad Moon that we all agree is a great werewolf. So there's some good. And also Mr. Bob Kurtzman's working on it.
Yes, and he does some good stuff.
He does excellent work too.
Yes.
The let's see, the late phases werewolf was not our favorite design of all time, but it wasn't the execution. It was just the design we didn't really like. So but looking forward to that. We have the opportunity, Mr. Ben Harley, and the possibility of a decent Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yes. And that is always a plus because it usually hinges on what the Bigfoot looks like.
Right, exactly. And we needed to shift the show into a positive direction. And what better than a possible good Bigfoot, right?
That's right.
Yes. So maybe we'll get to ask.
Well, I should say finally. We've had a couple.
Right.
I take that back. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll finally get to speak with Mr. Bob Kurtzman, ask him how that show is, how that movie's going.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, good time. So that'll be up at Retro Invasion Weekend. That will be in Cleveland. Look that up online as well. I'm going to jump into stuff we watched. I watched here real quick, Mr. Ben Harley.
Sure.
New Year's stuff. New Year's. Ding, ding, ding. All right.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Real quick, there's something on Amazon Prime I wanted people to check out. It's called Stephen Tobolowsky, The Primary Instincts. Now, hold up a second. Okay. You know who Stephen Tobolowsky is?
No, it sounds
character
familiar.
Actor. He's in Groundhog Day. He's the guy that keeps running up to Bill Murray on the street.
Oh yeah.
And you've seen him in everything. He's got little glasses of. Okay, so he's also a professional storyteller.
Is he really?
And that's pretty interesting. He just stands up there on stage. It's almost like a stand-up. And I don't want to say it's like a Lenny Bruce type of thing, but it's more like he's kind of just talking.
Okay.
And it's funny. Some of it you can tell he's got a couple stand-up bits and stuff like that. Just kind of tells a story about his life. Tells stories about his life. And it's just excellent. And there was we're running long, so there's a whole story about when he was a little kid. He got roped in by his brother. His brother was a big football fan.
Yeah.
And they're from Texas, and they didn't have a professional team yet. And so there was a team practicing down there, and his brother basically roped him into running through security lines and everything because he was 3.
Yeah.
So you think a little 3-year-old's going to be cute and get through everywhere.
Yeah.
Didn't know who the people were, so he had this pad and he had people signing it. The first one was Ray Nitschke, Mr. Ben Harley.
Nice.
I looked over to Angio, and I was sitting in the other room. I was like, "You're not going to believe this." And I stood up. I was wearing a Ray Nitschke shirt. I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
Great film, great stories. It's just a wonderful
Who wears
film.
a Ray Nitschke shirt?
Me. So great stories, great little movie. It's about an hour long or so. It's really Stephen Tobolowsky, and it's really great. He's a very entertaining person anyway. You know, he's a fun guy. So
he is everywhere though. He is everywhere.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that the Christmas stuff I finally did get to, Mr. Ben Harley. I know it's post Christmas. But just for record's sake, just keeping tabs on things, Mr. Ben Harley. We did get to the Peanuts Christmas. The Frosty Christmas and
Christmas.
Grinch. We did get the classic How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I haven't watched the Grinch yet.
You have to.
Watch the Grinch.
I know I sent it to you.
Love
You
it.
have to.
Yeah.
You got to get the song in there.
Oh yeah.
You're a new one, Mr. Grinch. Yeah, so good stuff there. So we had fun watching that. Just wanted to throw that out there. Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. Moving on from 1958. 58. These movies starring Richard Boone.
Okay.
I Bury the Living.
Oh,
we did that one. That's the one where he was a cemetery caretaker. He's putting pins in the map and everything.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Directed by Albert Band. Charles Band's father, actually.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Everything I keep forgetting is that one thing I keep forgetting is Jack Pierce did the makeup for that, Mr. Ben Harley.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Old Jack Pierce. Old Universal Monsters, Jack Pierce.
Jack Pierce.
I got a better thing for Jack Pierce for you. I didn't finish it, but just started it. Get on Amazon Prime quickly. There is an hour-and-a-half Jack Pierce documentary.
Oh, is there?
And if you didn't know that he was a successful silent film actor, I think you ought to get on that documentary. Get on that documentary. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
What's it called, Tim? You know,
it's Jack Pierce.
Just Jack Pierce.
Just punching Jack Pierce. Yeah, it just came up the other day. Yeah. So cool. Jack Pierce documentary. Moving on from 1957. 1957. The Jack Arnold opus, The Incredible Shrinking Man.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Not too bad. You know, this is kind of like The Invisible Man. It's kind of like a not unsung, but underappreciated classic.
Sure.
I'll put it that way. Not too bad. The interesting thing about The Incredible Shrinking Man is the decidedly downbeat ending.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really tie itself up in a nice little bow and stuff like that. So, but really cool movie. It's just been a little while since I've seen it. Been a little while since I've seen it. So that was kind of interesting to go back and look at. You should check it out if you haven't seen it for a little while.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
All right, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley, from 1977. Empire of the Ants.
Nice. All right.
Joan Collins and Robert Lansing.
And my other girl's in that, isn't she?
Pamela Shoop. Yeah, from Halloween 2.
Ooh, yes. Pamela Shoopity-doop.
Yep.
Yeah. Like her a lot.
Let's see here. Now, we couldn't just let that go, Mr. Ben Harley. Couldn't just do Empire of the Ants. So we had a Christmas Ants in the Pants freak out.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What'd you watch next?
Them.
Nice.
From 1954. We had the old James Whitmore. Movie. Here's a couple things for you. Now, it has James Arness in it, right? Who was played the creature in the original The Thing from Another World. Right?
That's old Matt Dillon, my man.
Right. Did you also know that he is Peter Graves' older brother?
Is he really?
I didn't know that either.
Wow. No, now you think, man, they look a lot alike now that I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big James Arness fan. We watch a lot of We watch a lot of that around here.
I know. Your little rope operas and stuff. Yeah.
A lot of Festus. And,
Right. Here's another one for you. So we're watching them. This was just happening last night and pretty late, might I add. I looked at a scene and I said, and I pointed at the screen. I did it again, Mr. Ben Harley. I did it again. I pointed at the screen and this little bitty scene in a reporter's office or something. A guy comes up to a woman with a piece of paper and says 2 lines, puts down the paper and walks away. I rewound it, pointing at the screen. Go, that's Leonard Nimoy. It was Leonard Nimoy. He is in them.
Is he?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Real little bit role, yeah. But I picked him out. I saw him. Angie looked at me like, I would never have gotten that. I was like, yep, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm just good like that. I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, I might be falling apart physically, but I got that cool shit going for me still, that's lady. Right. So you're lucky to be with me.
Ray Nitsky shirt.
I got my Ray Nitsky shirt on, and it's a little tight. At least around the guttural area, around the center there. Yes. Let's see here. A couple things, Mr. Ben Harley. Wanted to mention last 2 things. I got through that fast, didn't I? I wanted to talk about Steve Fat Dash, and then I wanted to scold people. So we had to have time for that. From 2018, I think I might have mentioned this or texted you about it.
That's definitely in the future. For you.
Well, it is, but this was the documentary Wild Man, the Bigfoot Odyssey. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is that young Canadian guy with the beard.
Yeah.
And he walks around remote areas and records himself musing about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
While his beard gets more icy as it goes on.
It grows and gets a little frosty. You're right. It's, I guess it's okay listening to him talk about the Bigfoot stuff. But I want to tell you something. As this is like maybe the 3rd little video he's put out on Amazon that I've watched. Yeah. The nature photography in this is just brilliant. This guy needs to shoot like National Geographic shows or something.
Sure.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. Now, he's up in the snowy. It's snowy where he's at. He's up in the mountains and he's talking about snow and stuff. So I'm kind of listening to him. And he's talking about he's hearing things. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. City boy out in the woods. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Now, I'll give the guy a little credit, okay? The guy admits that the tree breaks that he's hearing and stuff are not evidence. Well, thank you. Yeah. And he even says, I don't think a lot of the structures are either. Things just fall out here. I've been noticing this. I'm like, well, thank you. If you lived out in it, you would never have thought it was so. And I didn't know until I lived in it either. I thought it might have been evidence. I don't believe it at all anymore. However, he did also say, but I have seen I have seen trees twisted. Yeah. That just doesn't happen. I got news for you. Yes, it does. I sent Ben Harley a picture of a tree in my front yard that was twisted. Don't know exactly how, but we're talking about wind, and we're talking about how other trees around that tree that was twisted affects that tree when the wind is blowing. But it does happen. I have seen it. And I have seen trees pulled out of the ground by their roots and thrown by the wind. Big trees. Okay, so I've seen it. So he kind of lost me on that one. But here's something I've been thinking, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out at you. A little Bigfoot talk for New Year.
Little Bigfoot talk.
That's all Bigfoot out there.
We've been friends for a long time.
He says his name is Jerry Blackwell. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm beginning to think that if there is a Sasquatch, they're actually very good at covering their tracks and do not leave signs.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're intelligent. Why would they need to? Why would they think that was smart to leave a sign? Yeah. Kind of like if you're hiding out in the woods and you're in an orange tent with a fire next to it, probably won't be hiding from anything, I don't think. Exactly.
No. Right.
But just something, maybe that's why they're so damn elusive, is that we're looking at things that we think is evidence. And I keep reporting back to you from out here, right? That I've seen almost everything and heard almost everything that's considered evidence. And I still just do not think there's a Sasquatch around my house. I just don't think it, But it's something I thought of.
Wait till he shows up and asks for some sugar or something, Tim.
Look, I just watched Empire of the Ants. They stole like 15 tons of sugar.
Yeah.
So I don't, I'm out with the sugar stuff. But no, I've been thinking that. I think that maybe if these things exist, that they're more elusive, and that the evidence, quote unquote evidence, is just people not being bored out in the woods, just when they convince themselves they found evidence.
Yeah, I think so too. I do somewhat believe a little bit in the structures, not a lot of them, maybe, but some of them to me are just like, that could have been human, so, but some of them I'm like, why would you spend the time doing that stuff? But I don't know. I think they are much smarter than first off, and we've said this before, I know, they live in the flipping woods. This is their territory, man. They know when things are out of place. You know when something's out of the place in your own home. Right. All right. You do. And now they might not know the everywhere in the woods, but I'm sure they know their area pretty damn well, you know, and if they are animals, more animal than human or human, or they have the heightened senses that I think they would by living out in the woods like that. We're not, it's only by mistake that we've come across them. I really think so. Or that they happen to come up to see us. I really do. I just don't. I think it's, you try to find one, try to track one of them. Good fucking luck.
Well, I tell you, even the tree structures, I've seen them out here. And I know it's wild, and I know it doesn't make any sense, but it happens, and I don't know how. I haven't seen it happen. But I've seen
we've
them.
Talked about that stuff being thrown. I mean, I was out on a good day walking with my daughter and out in the woods, and you see, just what the wind can do on trees that are tall like that. You could just whip something. So, I don't know.
Well, we had a tree. We had a tree that you couldn't. Me and you. I don't know if we hugged the tree, if we could touch hands. We probably could, but not one person. It was one of the biggest trees I had on my property. It launched itself out of the ground and landed on another tree. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. During a storm this happened. Here's what was really interesting, though, that it didn't really leave a hole in the ground. Yeah. Okay, because the rain covered up the hole. The rain was so bad, it made it so muddy that it allowed the tree to get pulled out, and then it covered it back, basically back up.
It filled itself.
Yeah, so it looks like something grabbed it and pulled it over there, and so that was something too. But Mr. Harley, I can tell you something right now. I'm gonna investigate this because for Christmas, I've got something that's gonna help me. I got a lantern. I got a Raven lantern.
That's right.
And I got a camo Bigfoot shirt from Mr. Ben Harley for Christmas.
That's right.
That I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find out what the hell's going on with my trees out there. It might have nothing to do with Bigfoot, but we got some gamma radiated squirrels out here at least, or something like that. I'm telling you right now.
Well, Timo, I mean, just like them and finding Bigfoot, I'm sure if you just took that lantern out there, with all its different color variations that you can put on it, you might be able to draw in a Squatch just because they're curious. So.
Absolutely. They want to steal my lantern that Mr. Ben Harley got me for Christmas. I'm teasing Mr. Ben Harley. I was roundabout way thanking him for my Christmas presents in public.
Timo, you watch enough of them old creaky house movies that I just envisioned you with your lantern creeping around Dermal Ridge at night with your long cap on, You
just described Scrooge to a point, to a T, actually. And you're about right. That's about me. I'm looking for your old Jacob Marley. Ben Harley would be my first. He'll be my harbinger ghost whenever I live my Christmas carol.
That's right.
Like, Timo. He's like,
stop being so mean.
He's like, Timo, like, what are you doing? I have no chains. I'm trying to rattle T-shirts. T-shirts. It's not working.
I forgot the chains.
Yeah, right. So, well, anyway, so moving on. So it was a little interesting, but Wild Man, the Bigfoot Odyssey. It's okay. I love the nature photography in it, man. It's worth watching. Literally, it's that good. It's worth watching for that alone.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's a little bit more
like an amateur survivor man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's I think a little bit more practical too. I don't think he believes in everything. He's more, which I like too. And I like the story of what got him interested in it, with his father, and why he went to that area, which is the first one that he shot. I thought was interesting, and hey, yeah, you said they look great too. So they're fun. They're worth watching.
Absolutely, yeah. Wild Man, the Bigfoot Odyssey. So check that out.
Yeah.
Last, Mr. Ben Harley. I had to. Now we've been on a little bit of a freak out. About another.
You're on an ant freak out.
No, I know, but we've been on another one now. Over a bit of time.
Ant bee freak out.
No, I did throw in the film Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, otherwise known as Halloween 6. Now hold on. The producer's cut, not what you saw in the theater. I saw that in the theater too. Now listen to me slowly and closely, okay?
Yeah.
There are 70 minutes of a 90-minute film that are different in the producer's cut. It is an entirely different movie.
And that's the one you sent me, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I think you should...
And it was on TV. I swear to God. I think we talked about that. It was on TV the other day.
All right. Well, yeah, I
had to confuse the hell out of some people.
Well, I think
it would have confused me.
Yeah,
I'd have been like, "Wait, what movie is this? Was there another 6?" I would have freaked out. It would have.
I think you should sit down with it and check it out. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I watched it.
For Richie Sambora closure.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Like I told Angie, I said, "This is a really shitty movie." But what they put out was shittier because it was insulting and didn't make any sense. And then Michael got beat over the head with a lead pipe by Paul Rudd, and that's good enough to end the series. I mean, come on. So the studio made his shitty movie shittier. Now, here's the other problem, too. The director, Joe Chappelle, he didn't even like the Halloween movies. He did it to get other movies. He did the job to get other jobs.
Well, he kissed my ass.
And he also couldn't stand Donald Pleasance, and he edited him almost all out of that movie.
How could you not stand Donald Pleasance?
Because he said he was boring. He said he was boring. So this is where we're up against this movie. Also,
but the rest of the movie was good.
right. Well, and then George P. Wilbur is just a terrible Michael Myers. I'm sorry, he's a terrible Michael Myers. Now, I'm going to blame that on Joe Chappelle. I'm going to blame that on the director.
Yeah.
Because this Michael Myers like lumbers around and is real animated. And I'm like, God, what happened to the robotic, the automaton? Yeah. Michael Myers. Remember when Jamie Lee Curtis, she stabs him in the chest in the closet and she thinks she's got him. And she sits down at the threshold of the door and he sits up like a robot and turns his head real stiff. That's Michael Myers, man. That's the shape. The only thing I will give credit to this film is that in the credits, they call him the shape. I do like that. Now, here's the thing. There's a couple of things about the producer's cut. They actually use a lot of the original music. And God, does it help. Okay. Man, it helps. So I don't like this movie. But I sure like the producer's cut a lot better. At least it makes sense and gives you some kind of story about this stupid cowboy running around. Hypnotizing people into letting Michael Myers go. Is it dumb? Yeah. Was it going to go in a good place ever again? No. But at least it had some kind of sense made to it. It was, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciated that. Joe Chappelle, you can go sit on an egg. I mean, seriously, whatever. Anyway, so we did watch it in the, there's a little closer. I told Angie, I said, this is really technically the last movie of the original series. Yeah. It's the last one. And it jumped like 5 sharks and a couple dolphins and it went off to Richie Sambora land, but yeah. Oh,
awful. Like why? It's, that's when I really started to doubt why I was even holding on to any of it.
95.
Like, it was sad.
95.
Man, it was sad.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, it was. But I'm just telling you that, if you saw it in a theater like I did, you sat there with the last thing in your mind was the black boots and stuff. And then you saw that hunk of trash and you're like, what is going on? Because not only did it not make sense with the previous films, it just didn't make sense as a movie. No. It just didn't make sense at all. It was clearly something wrong with it. So I do appreciate being able to see it now. It looks real good. I like the music being in there. And quite frankly, I think I almost like it as much, if not more than 4 and 5. The producer's cut. Because
really?
look, I think they're bad too. I think 4 and 5 are bad too. So to me, maybe it's because it's such an uplift from the theatrical version that I'm like, well, at least it's got some kind of story going on here, something. I mean, as comic booky and bad as it is,
I can't. Well, I'll give you 5, but I don't know about 4. 5, yes.
Let's just stick with 1 and 2, and then just be
exactly. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm not going to spend any time defending those other 2 movies. It ain't worth my time, So.
No.
What you got, Mr. Benno? That's all I got on this new year. You got nothing?
No, I got a couple things here.
Throw it at me.
A couple things I can lay on you real fast. Nothing super spectacular.
Okay.
But let's real fast, and we'll keep it with the Christmas spirit. I know this is our New Year's show, but I did watch a little. It wasn't little. It was a long movie called "The Greatest Story Ever Told."
Oh my god!
And I don't even think I watched all of it. I think I got about 4 hours, and maybe 3 hours, 4. Anyways, I was over watching my daughter Ruby the other day, so it was on, and wow, whew, it's a long film. But it's a pretty good one, especially after watching the one that I mentioned the other day, Killing Jesus. This was much more refreshing as far as now. I know, it is what it is, but you got, Charlton Heston playing John the Baptist, which I thought was awesome. That's awesome. And I've seen this before, but
I'm John the Baptist, and I am wild and crazy, so you better watch.
Kick your ass.
Yeah.
But pretty good. And then Timo, I forget the gentleman that played Jesus that he was
it Jeffrey Hunter in that one, or who was it?
I thought we did, what's his name was in Needful Things, isn't that?
Max von Sydow, did he do it?
Yeah, I swear that's him.
It probably is.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
I could be wrong, but
I get the Bible ones kind of mixed up in a way. I know, like
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a few of them. Out there, but he's so.
That's a long one.
Yeah, but not too bad. I did enjoy it. There's some really good actors. And speaking of Donald Pleasance actually plays the devil.
Oh, that's perfect then.
yeah. When it's kind of cool because Jesus goes up to he's fasting. He goes out to the desert and he goes up to a cave. And Donald Pleasance is in there eating, He's like, come on, you need to eat. Come on, no, I won't eat. And he just, the way they do it, and how the story goes, whatever, how he tempts them and everything. Right. But it's actually was really good. I was like, wow. And he appears one other time in the, but
did you look at Jesus and go, I am purely and simply evil, and then look into the crowd, look into the camera, wink.
Exactly. It's coming.
Right.
But which I thought was cool because I've seen different versions of that part, of the tempting of Jesus and stuff, and it's like I liked this one because he looks like a little just like a. I don't know, an urchin or something. He doesn't look like the devil. He doesn't have horns and a pitchfork and stuff. So it was, it was a neat little scene, I should say. Nice. So, but not too bad. I tried to watch as much as I could, but about 4 hours. It was a good run for me. So, but So, one other thing I want to speak of. This was recommended to me by the one and the only Burt Reynolds.
Oh boy,
the legend. Yes, and and I will give Brett some credit. He remembers a lot about movies, like a lot. Especially, he might not remember what happened yesterday, but for some odd reason, he remembers a lot.
But doesn't he get Smokey and the Bandits and the 10 Commandments mixed up?
a little bit. Yeah. But he was talking about a movie called Manverse, and I do believe it's on Netflix. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. So, and it's from what he was explaining, I thought, well, this would be kind of neat to watch. So I put it on, and it's a film about a gentleman who goes out and he's doing kind of like just like we were just talking about, a man on his own. They're doing a little. He has a crew with him, but they're off site and he's going in it on his own.
Survivor man, basically, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. And it's kind of neat, it's okay. And the movie's actually pretty good. Now things start to happen to him, like he hears things, stuff like that. Things come missing, like he loses his phone. he finds it taken apart. He's playing chess with himself.
I might have seen this.
And he comes back, and then the chess pieces are moved and stuff. And he thinks it's his brother, and then messing with him, and trying to make it more scary or whatever. And, But I really enjoyed this movie. And I kept thinking in the back of my mind, this is all going to hinge on what the hell this thing is or what it looks like. And I was right.
Yeah.
I hate this because I liked this movie. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was good. I enjoyed it, and I was enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it ends up being, it's not a Bigfoot. It's not. And it was funny. At one point I said, what is this, like a Predator thing or something? And Brett wouldn't say nothing. I'm like, so I must be on track here. And sure enough, it ended up being like I don't know, it was a half robot, half Predator looking thing.
Classic shape-shifting satanic alien. Right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. And I guess what had happened is the world had been, while they were out doing this, the world had been overrun by these aliens, and it just happened to be one of the aliens out. Now, okay, I guess I'll give you all right on that. But then again, here comes the alien. And most of it was CGI, and that was the hard part because it just took a pretty decent little movie and made it real cheap all of a sudden. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, no, can I have the other movie back if we put a restart or something?
Right.
So anyways, it ends up being like this. At one point, they had some close-ups on it, and it looked okay, but it looked a lot like a Predator almost without the mouth. Whatever, I'm not getting that deep into it. So anyways, it just, I don't know. The wheels came off, and it hit a tree as far as I was concerned. So
right.
But yeah, man
versus.
If you like three-quarters of a movie, you'll love this one.
Well, a lot of them are like that. Yeah, a lot of them.
I was upset.
A lot of them are like that, yeah.
Very disappointed. One last thing, Timo. Yeah. This was a game time decision for me.
Okay.
The other night, there was just like you and I were talking about a little bit off of air about us, some rock clubs and stuff. There's a certain rock club here in town. Same thing where they get some interesting bands, some sort of semi-larger bands, but mostly bands that play from here and things like that. But they've been having quite a plethora lately of tribute-type bands. And I've never really been much into tribute bands. I've seen a few over the years. Some are fun, whatever. It is what it is. But I actually went the other night, made a last-minute decision to go see the Ronnie James Dio tribute, Holy Diver. And so got there, saw a little bit of the band before them, so went by myself. But I thought, I knew a few people there, which I did. It was actually a pretty decent crowd, and I was happy about that. Now, I don't know if this band Holy Diver is also a Black Sabbath tribute band as well, because they looked an awful lot like, the guitar player looked like Tony Iommi. And then there might have been some wigs involved. I don't know. Pretty sure.
There might be like a Mr. Potato Head band where they just you can make them Black Sabbath, Dio, here's some Rainbow for you.
Right. And the guy who came out as Dio was a little off-putting at first because he kind of looked like Udo Dirk Schneider.
He was 7 feet tall.
No, he was a little short guy like Udo. Udo's short too. Udo's a little guy.
Yeah.
So but he had a wig on, maybe if the guy from, I don't know, Helix or somebody like Crocus. That's it, Crocus.
Crocus.
I'm throwing them all at you, Tim.
It
was an
Helix
80s
and
night,
Crocus. Okay, hold on now.
80s, yeah. So
I'll throw some Keel back at you if you don't watch it.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Oh, don't do that. Yeah. But then, it was just a little off-putting at first. But once you get past that, it was a lot of fun. I'm a huge Ronnie Dio fan. I love Ronnie Dio. I have ever since he was in Rainbow and, then Black Sabbath. And I liked Dio on his own for the most part. I didn't, after so many years, I got out. I just, it was too much. But I always looked forward to seeing Dio when he would come here. It was, some of my favorite shows of all time. We're seeing, Dio, because you go see a Dio show, you're going to see a concert. You're going to see a dragon. You're going to see lasers. You know what I mean? And, you know, I mean, when you're 14 years old, you know, like that's the goods, you know, like that's good stuff, you know. But anyway, so these guys musically were awesome, just great. Cool. And some of these songs I never got to see live before. Some I hadn't heard since I was 14, you know, live. And they were just a good band. And like I said, I was a Dio fan, and I also liked Vivian Campbell, who was his guitar player. But I always had a problem, even when I was younger, and I'd seen a lot of shows, but I just thought maybe it was me. But I remember when I'd see him, I'd be like, God, he just doesn't sound right. And I remember having a live, you know, Last in Line live video, and I don't know. I was always like, something's wrong with, you know, and I think it was just him because this guy the other night was nailing it. And it was like, and it was funny though. It's like, here I'm watching a guy that looks like Tony Iommi playing Vivian Campbell guitar solos. Just looked weird, but it was cool. I mean, this guy was good. He played everything. Like, you know, it was great. And they did Dio songs, some of the offbeat ones, some good, you know, the ones that we all know. And then they did probably about maybe half a dozen Sabbath songs, and then they did some Rainbow songs too, which I was surprised. But the end of the night with Heaven and Hell, and I got me a Holy Diver frisbee that was, well, I would say thrown to me, more tossed to me. And so now I got something to roll my doobies on.
Throwing frisbees. Wow.
So
you sure they didn't portal themselves back from 1981? I mean, what?
So it was an interesting night, but I will say,
the crowd hacky sacks too.
But man, I had a blast, you know, and I said I knew a couple people that were there, friends of mine and stuff. But you know what? I would have kicked myself if I wouldn't have gone. You know, because
you can't take much more abuse, right? So
no, and exactly. But you know, it was fun, especially just to hear those songs. Some of those songs are like my favorite songs of all time, and Tony Iommi is at least in my top 3 favorite guitar players of all time. I mean, he was at one time my favorite. You know, still love the guy. So it was cool to see all that, and they sounded good. The guy sounded like Dio, sang his ass off. You know what I mean? And they were just seemed like they were having fun. It's just a generally good time. You know what I mean? I could care less. The guy's wearing a wig. Fuck it, I don't care, man. I just. You know, I mean, at that point, I wouldn't even mind if you just came out, didn't even look like it, and just did the songs. I'd be happy too. You know what I mean? I would be. And so, yeah, that's about it, buddy. Tim, I haven't had to watch a whole heck of a lot. I've been really busy with work. But yeah, I went and got my rock and roll fix, and I sang about dragons and stuff like that. And Heaven and Hell and
see, that's what I thought I was walking into when I saw the movie Stunt Rock. Okay.
Yeah.
But I ended up seeing rock and roll. So you went to see rock and roll, and you wanted to see dragons. I went to see dragons, and I saw Stunt Rock. So
right.
All comes around. All comes full circle.
Come around, Tim. You know,
full circle. So.
I was just ahead of the game back then. That's all. Some say nerd. I say ahead of the game.
I'm gonna buy it. It's New Year. Let's do it. We'll buy it.
That's right.
Let's get to our official films, Mr. Ben Harley.
No, Timo. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you, but I will say one of my friends that was at the show said that he had been listening to the Tim Owen Harley show, and he listened to 2 of our episodes, and he enjoyed them thoroughly. He said they were funny. I said, you listened to it was Tim Owen Harley show, right? He said, yes. So we got a shout out at the Dio show, so I forgot to tell you. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yes, and I really appreciate this guy. He's a good guy. Grew up playing hockey with him. And
what's his name? Give him a shout out.
I will give him a shout out. His name is Joey Weisenberger. Good old Joey. And he was a great goaltender. He's a couple years older than me when we were younger, and we kind of had a mutual respect for each other. And he would come watch me, and I would watch him, and we grew up playing together hockey. And just a great guy. Loves music too, and he's a no bullshitter. So I knew when he said, "Yeah, I really like the show," I knew we might have something.
Well, thanks for listening, Joey, and I'm sure he enjoys listening Ben Harley trying to play goalie to my verbal jabs that are coming, taking verbal shots, and he's trying to protect the goal there. You know, so
that's right. Yeah.
All right, now let's get to our official little films, Mr. Ben Harley,
Yes.
for New Year's. First up, let's do
Thank you,
from
Tim.
1986.
Yes, sir.
We have the
It's a
film
good year.
that Mr. Ben Harley. I just sent this to you for an obvious reason. Mr. Ben Harley has
Yeah.
a problem with post-apocalyptic films, not
Neon.
for any like normal reason, just the fact that the cockroaches and the neon signs seem to survive any apocalypse.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have the film Neon Maniacs, because Mr. Ben Harley is technically
Yes, sir.
a neon maniac.
Yes, and I actually heard some Neon Nights at the Dio show. the
Nice.
other night,
There
so.
you go. It's been a neon
Yeah,
week for you,
yeah.
Mr. Ben Harley. So let me get out,
That's
let me
right,
get out
that's
movie
right.
guy and give you the short storyline synopsis for Neon Maniacs. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
A group of teenagers in San Francisco discover a nest of homicidal monsters living in a tower of the Golden Gate Bridge. But when they try to tell the authority, no one believes them. I don't
No.
believe them either.
I wouldn't either.
I don't believe you either, you idiots. No. Okay, so yeah, that's the story. It's really just people in 1986 getting menaced by random creature monsters that look
Yeah.
like they were edited out of Nightbreed, the film.
Yes.
And that's about it. Chase them around,
Yeah.
and nobody believes that there's a bunch of monsters chasing them around, even though the monsters have basically taken over everywhere, and everyone looks the other way.
Yeah.
Pretty much we got. Now, let me give you a little bit here, okay, to explain what the travesty you just saw, okay,
Yeah.
wasn't really finished. It was released with as much as they had. They kept running out of money. There was like supposed to be a giant end battle with the monsters. They just kind of let go. They just
Yeah, it
ended
never
the film.
happened.
No, it never happened. And then there was supposed to be some backstory explaining what the fuck was going on, and they didn't film that either. I would have
No.
filmed that first if it was me, but so there's
No,
really no
that's-
explanation of the monsters. And to be quite frank with you, like if it wasn't in the synopsis, I'm not sure I would have even caught the fact that they were supposed to be coming out of a tower of the Golden Gate Bridge. All I knew is that there was children. The children is in
Yeah.
as in 40-year-old high school students.
Well, there
And
that's one
monsters.
a 35-year-old woman playing a 14-year-old or something.
Yeah.
I couldn't get around that.
No, this is a lot of that going on. This is a lot
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
And then today you'll have a 13-year-old playing a surgeon. You know,
Yeah,
but back then you had 50-year-olds playing high school kids. Let's see here. Andrew Divoff, who plays Doc, this was his film debut, actually. He
Oh,
plays
yeah?
the genie in the Wishmaster series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He does a lot of shows or whatever. That's about the only trivia besides the
Okay.
fact it wasn't really finished.
Yeah.
This ain't nothing but monsters chasing kids around. All different kinds of
Yeah,
monsters, and they're chasing them around. And I guess it's more or less one suspensey monster chase scene after another with goofy monsters. Monsters ain't too
Yeah.
bad though.
No, actually, I think that's where they spent most of their money was on the monsters, and then they ran out of money because
They did.
it's. I saw this on Roku not too long ago.
Uh-huh.
I started watching it, and then you sent it to me. I know we talked about it, and I'm like, oh, I got to finish it, you know.
Right.
And you know it because like the first like 20 minutes of this film are pretty intense, man. You know, like
So are the bikinis.
oh yeah, yeah. But like, you know, I was like, there's really. I kept thinking to myself, "Why? I can't believe this wasn't a little bit more known." And then I finished watching it, and then I can understand. But like, it's just, it is. It's kind of a mishmash of monsters, though. At first I'm like, are they a gang? Is that what they are? They're like a gang of monsters.
We'll
that,
never know.
Like, what? I
We'll
don't.
never know. They never filmed the explanation of what was going on.
Right.
So
All I know is there was a gate. I
Mhm.
know, but I didn't know it was at the Golden Gate Bridge. You know,
Mhm.
but there was like a gate there or a door that they would come out or once in a while, or someone would peer in and die.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was just it really it didn't care about making sense, I guess.
Right, right.
So, I mean,
Well, we got
and then the kids kept
yeah.
getting pinned for all the murders and all that, and they're like, well, okay, now this is going to sound so bad. I'm sorry, but like in 1980, who's gonna, back then, no one would have walked into a dance and shot 50 people And then you're going to blame it on these kids. Well, nowadays, okay, okay, now sure, but back then it would have been like, wait, what? These kids wouldn't have had any like way of getting a hold of anything like this to do this, but the cops are blaming them. You know, like, wait, what? You didn't see all this? Oh, I don't know.
Well, see, this is how me and Ben Harley watch movies in a different way. Yeah. He's worrying about that. I'm worrying about the battle of the bands between the Outlaws versus Jaded.
I'm Jaded.
And I was worried. Jaded. I was concerned there was 2 different stages at a battle of the bands. I'd never seen something like that. I'm like, what?
No.
I'm looking at it going, wait a minute. This is like, are they really going to sword fight or something?
Yeah. You know, well, like one band has to sit and listen to the other band play, and then they shift back over. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, Timo, when, what were they called? The Outlaws?
Yeah. The Outlaws and Jaded.
Yeah, so
Jaded was the hair band, and the Outlaws.
I know.
They were the outfield band. Yeah.
Oh, I know. From the start of this movie all the way up until that the Outlaws played their song was some of the worst music of all. It's awful.
Yeah.
So it was that bad. So when Jaded started, I thought it was the second coming of Black Sabbath when they came on, because I was like, oh my God, thank you. I was like, oh,
a distortion pedal.
Oh, thank you. Because what was going down? Yeah, like you said, the outfield band there,
the Outlaws. Yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't. All right.
Listen, folks, real quick, we're not going to explain why there was a battle of bands because it wasn't explained to us. This is a random battle of the bands where monsters come in and tear shit up, okay? So there you go. There you go. Just let me know.
One of the main characters, I will say, and I didn't even know he was in a band until he all of a sudden got on stage at the Battle of the Bands.
I don't think he knew he was in a band until it happened. Yeah.
That was the worst. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm not. Like, it took me a long time. And we went through the 80s, right?
Right.
It took me a long time to even remotely like some of that music from that time. I'm talking.
Yeah, no.
Because like nowadays, 25, 30, years later, some of it I can, okay. All right, I get it. But like, it's just awful to me. And then you had the knockoff stuff that sounded like that stuff from that time period is even worse.
Yeah.
And that's what you get. Like that song that they played, and then they did another one. Oh God, I was like, I was praying for the Neon Maniacs. I was praying that they were going to show up. Please don't let them play another song. Oh God, that was the biggest horror show part of the film for me, was that sequence, man.
Right.
Like, oh God.
Listen, folks, if you didn't grow up back then, Harley and I liked the punk rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not always necessarily because the punk rock was so great. A lot of it has to do with the fact the other music was so bad.
So bad. It was bad.
Oh my goodness gracious, was it bad?
Look, and then the music in the 80s movies is awful.
Oh yeah. They're a good time capsule of why we listen to stuff you don't hear in those things anymore. We listen to I was listening to Minor Threat and stuff. I didn't like any of that stuff at all. I mean, look, you had a choice between the Misfits and Jefferson Starship. I rest my case. My case. Like I said, the movie wasn't really finished. I mean, it was just kind of cobbled together and thrown out there with whatever budget they had to do it with. And as a result, I mean, the pace is uneven and it moves back and forth between like frantic, goofy entertainment and then really slow parts. But those are mostly filled with bikinis, so I'm going to forgive it. I'm back. I'm maneuver my way back to the bikinis. The other thing too, it's kind of tough to be an effective monster when your weakness is water. No offense, Wicked Witch. No offense, Wicked Witch.
Right.
Because I kept sitting there going, why don't they just spit on them?
Yeah.
Or pee on them?
Yeah.
What if they get sweaty? What if the people get sweaty?
What if they move that's why they were moving at such a slow pace, Tim.
Yeah. So
I don't know. That was bad. And then, like I said, the 35-year-old girl playing the 15-year-old or 14-year-old, whatever, she's been in some other stuff too. I swear I've seen her in other things too. But like, I couldn't get past that. I just couldn't get past it. And then they got out like the squirt guns, and they, and that was their defense, was squirt guns. I mean, that guy has a samurai sword and you got a squirt gun. Oh man.
So it's more effective. It was more effective because it burned them and then boiled them to death. It's like, okay.
God, man.
Yeah. Or just wait for it to rain. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it did that one time. Yeah. It rained, and they were like, "Well, I guess we're safe for now." Right. Well, I hope the Neon Maniacs got back to their gate at the Golden Gate Bridge before it started raining,
or before the apocalypse. Really, when you think about it, because I didn't see anything really neon about the Maniacs.
Now, Timo, Neon. My whole thing is Neon is very, very fragile, as they say, fragile. But for some odd reason, in the apocalypse, it's the one thing that survives besides, cockroaches. Absolutely. So I'm telling you, Timo, when the bomb's about to hit, you wrap yourself in some neon, my friend. Get yourself a neon little shelter. You don't need a bomb shelter.
No.
You need a neon shelter. And you'll be fine.
I'm going to the drive-in.
Put a little bit of chicken wire, just a little bit of chicken wire around the neon.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good to go.
I didn't know these Maniacs were that neon to be called Neon Maniacs either.
I didn't really get that either. There wasn't enough neon in there.
I guess that was part of that backstory that wasn't filmed, I suppose.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though, with the Neon Maniacs. You have a guy that looks like a samurai like creature. You had a monster. What's the one that we like, Timo? The one-eyed monster.
Cyclops?
We like him too, but no, the one movie. Oh gosh, the one.
The Being?
Yeah, the Being.
Oh yeah, there was a Being monster. Yeah,
there was a Being monster with one eye that looked like an alligator type thing.
Yeah.
And then there was a little guy that looked like a Yeti.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy that looked like the Wicked Witch.
Right. No, it was it was
a gargoyle.
Right. It was like Nightbreed. There was a whole race of monsters or something like that. Great idea. Yeah. And the monsters are executed fairly well, especially for 1986. Yeah. Low budget, but I guarantee why they ran out of money to have this movie make any sense, because they made the monster guys look pretty good, and therefore they had no more money. Look, here's the thing. I don't think I'd ever seen this. I mean, I know the movie very well as far as the name and everything. I thought I'd seen it. And I think I saw a couple minutes of it on USA, Up All Night back in the 80s, late 80s probably. I probably saw a minute or two of it that was not very flattering to the film, which really pick your couple minutes for the most part. Yeah. It really does have a so bad it's almost good kind of quality to it. Because the monsters are fun to look at, and some of the chases and stuff are kind of fun, on the subway and things like that. Some of that stuff's kind of fun. There's just really there's not a lick of sense being made anywhere by default, because it wasn't really finished and stuff. But I tell you what, we did have fun watching it. And I didn't love it at all. But again, the ineptitudes of it, the ineptness of it, almost made it watchable. Almost made it fun. I'm not so sure if they had filmed another 15 minutes of explanations, it would have been as fun. Not good, fun.
Right.
It would have been as fun.
I thought, there was going to be some mad scientist that was the guy behind making all these Neon Maniacs, and there was going to be some Husama fudge or some kind of stuff,
or neon.
Or neon, but no, I don't know.
Right. I don't know. I'm going to give this one a mildest of mild, goofy Great Apes Up. This is kind of a gonzo kind of film. It's just sort of what? I mean, the monsters changed throughout the movie because they had to find different actors and stuff because they were running out of money, and the time was getting to the point where other actors had other things to do, so they were losing people left and right to do this. And I kind of give them a little bit of credit for pasting it together. It's not a good movie, but it's got some entertainment value to it if you get a little messed up and sit there and watch it, put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think too, they kind of wasted the movie on that first 15, 20 minutes. If they would have maybe put that towards the end or something more, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because or middle of the movie, because I liked the first 20 minutes of this film. I was like, wow, man, this is good. This is going somewhere. And then it just kind of wait, what?
Well, I knew you'd like how it started because it didn't start slow.
Oh, it gets right into it, and then and I was to me, I wasn't oh, this is going to be cool, great awesome. I was just interested. I was like, this is interesting, and I think I might enjoy it.
Right.
And it's not that I didn't. I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it a mild grape ape up too.
Okay.
Because I did enjoy watching it. I just was a little disappointed in how it just petered out a little. And then, but from what you explained to me, I guess it maybe it's a little. I feel a little better about it, or a little salve on my wound, or whatever. What do you say? How's that go?
All right, so we got 2 mild grape apes up for the fascinating Neon Maniacs, which is like, oh wow, that just happened.
First 20 minutes, I'm going to give a grape ape up to.
Right.
So the last real low, so it equals out to mild.
I agree. I actually totally agree. Now let's move on to the fitting film, official film for this week, Mr. Bud Harley.
Yeah.
New Year's Evil. Yes. So
Evil.
this is our New Year's movie. We did Scrooged last week, and this week we're doing New Year's Evil. From 1980. It does not look like 1980. It looks later than 1980 a little bit. It
sure does.
But no, it actually was... it was released a few days before New Year's of 81, so it's 1980 technically. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Let me get out Movie Guy here and give you a short storyline synopsis for New Year's Evil.
Yes.
During a New Year's Eve celebration, a Los Angeles disc jockey receives a phone call saying that when New Year's strikes in each time zone, someone will be murdered, and she will be the last one. Okay.
Okay.
This movie, again, 1980, directed by Emmett Alston of Demon Warp and 9 Deaths of the Ninja fame.
Okay. All right.
This is a really...
I only saw the 8 Deaths of the Ninja. I missed the 9 deaths.
This is a very strange... First, it starts off with some real seminal hair rock shit going on. So there's a theme going through both these movies, and it's a definite battle of the 80s bands. Going on through this entire film.
Not old punk.
No.
Little thing.
But basically, there's a woman she's a disc jockey, I guess, and super famous. So she's hosting a New Year's party. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're broadcasting it. And then a killer decides to call her and talk through a Fozzie Bear talk box.
Oh, that was awful.
It was terrible. Well, it was almost as bad as that movie I watched, The New York Ripper, where he does a Donald Duck voice. I'm telling you, think of this movie if he was sounding like Donald Duck. It's exactly what it was. It also kind of reminded me of the movie Student Bodies when they said, "Are you disguising your voice?" "I'm talking through a rubber chicken." So the DJ is played by Roz Kelly, who was Pinky on Happy Days.
That's it. Thank you, Tim. I kept thinking, man, who is she? She looks so familiar, and I love her for some odd reason.
Right.
I kept thinking that. I'm like, there's something about her. Yeah. Pinky Tuxedo. She got the Malachi Crunch. Oh, man.
You got it. There it
Thank
is.
you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Whew.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well,
I was going to ask you, I'm like, where do I know her from?
Right.
Thank you.
Well, we got her son. Her son was played by Grant Mike Tobacco Kramer from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
He was blind in this flick. He was blind. Yeah. He was the crazy son. So he was Derek Sullivan in this film. But we're all going to know and love Grant Kramer as Mike Tobacco.
Mike Tobacco.
Mike Tobacco from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It was produced by those Israeli book cookers. Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus. It was a canon film.
Yes.
Yeah, those book cooking wizards themselves.
God, as soon as it popped up, I was like, "Oh, we're in for a treat."
Absolutely.
And you know what? It's funny because one of the women in the film that gets killed, played in Last American Virgin as Carmela.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Carmela.
Now this movie right here. It's more of when a stranger calls subgenre of psychological horror or a psycho thriller. Type of movie where a guy, he's going to kill somebody when the ball drops in each time zone for New Year's. And he keeps calling the disc jockey. There is a bit of a swerve at the end as to the killer's identity. Like his face is prominently displayed. It's not like it's a mystery who the guy's face is and stuff, but who the guy is, they kind of keep under wraps so that you can kind of figure it out. But if you're not really paying attention, which you really should not be if you're watching this film, it may come as somewhat of a surprise. An issue I have with this film, though, Mr. Ben Harley, is that no one does anything resembling human action and are unbound from the space-time continuum.
Yes,
it's a small problem, but I got it.
They're so almost like the last film that we just reviewed. There is some, not really a battle of the bands, but there's a show that Pinky Tuscadero's putting on.
Right.
That they have certain bands will come on or whatever, and then so stuff goes on in between when these bands are on, and there's like some really odd things.
Let me stop you. I'm gonna step on you right there. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. Now, besides everybody in the audience acting like a bunch of blind smackheads, okay, besides that, what was bothering you about the dancing crowd? And I'm just talking about, I'm not talking about remember, I just called them blind smackheads. So we got every movement, every weirdness out of the way. It's not a visual thing.
Well, for me, it was because it was supposed to be like a crowd of punk rockers.
Okay.
And I've never really seen punk rockers dance a whole lot.
Oh, okay.
And I've never really seen punk rockers really slow dance to blues rock a whole lot.
Like
either.
Blind smackheads.
Yeah, and it just was really off.
Like they smell something funny.
But the dance movements I've never seen anybody dance like that.
Right.
I mean, like, what's the guy, Pigpen you just watched it, right?
The Peanuts.
I love that dance. That's and they weren't even doing a good Pigpen. I don't know what they were doing, man. It was like it was so awkward. I'm like, are you listening to the same music that's being played? I don't know, Tim. Lay it on me. What you got?
Okay. My problem was this. Not only have you never seen people dance like that, but have you ever been to a punk show where you could hear people's feet shuffling around?
No.
Well, you did in this movie. Every time they had a band, you could hear the feet shuffling of people, and you could actually hear people's skin bumping up into each other. And it even drove Angie crazy because Angie's had a little bit of experience at this point in the game of being in loud clubs with me.
You can barely talk.
Yes, you cannot hear feet shuffling around. That drove me crazy. So basically what we have here is the Grizzly 2 of slasher films.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of bad bands and something going on around. I guess.
Because the one band does the New Year's Evil song. Mm-hmm. So they start the movie out with the New Year's Evil song. Mm-hmm. And then this band is the first band that goes on at the show. And they play the New Year's Evil song. Mm-hmm. And by the end of this movie, it came up again. I could not get to the DVD player fast enough. I swear to God, I ran. I about tripped over my heater and shit. I was like, I couldn't. I swear to God, I was like, I can't do this again. No. Oh, once was bad enough. 3 times, I'm like, I'll shoot this.
Yeah, it's your fault at that point. Yeah.
Oh God,
you blame yourself then. Yeah.
Because at that point, it was on me because I don't have to stick around no more. The credits are up. So I would have ran out of the theater if I saw that at that time.
Well, the movie,
I've never seen this, and I thought I have. I thought I pretty much have seen every type of film horror film that dealt with a holiday or whatever.
Right.
I swear to God,
I've seen, I think, once. There was parts that I know I've seen it. Like there's a couple of parts where I'm like, I remember that exact scene. I remember that. But remember, again, not like Neon Maniacs. There was also, both of us, I'm sure, spent a lot of time getting home late on a weekend and turning on USA Network and having Gilbert Godfrey or something. And they play this shit all the time. So sometimes you'd see some of this stuff. I passed
out to some of this stuff.
Right, exactly. So it could be just about darn near anything. Now, basically, it's not like the killer basically looks like he's one of the crew members aboard the Love Boat. And he keeps like disguising himself.
He might have been on the Love Boat. Not.
Yeah, he keeps disguising himself as different things and finding ways to be a serial killer. And he's really efficient. Considering, I mean, here's the thing though. If you're a serial killer, I think you got things planned out a lot better than he did if he's going to kill somebody at each hour because he's going searching for people. It's like, I would have had to have had this thing. Not that I'm going to kill anybody, Mr. Ben Harley. It is New Year's.
You did write the killer's journal.
Right. I promise you, if 9 of my mortal enemies are dead tomorrow, just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. It ain't me. It ain't me at all. And I was rooting for the guy till he put the fake mustache on. Then, of course, he was out of my wheelhouse. He was gone. Was done with that. But here's the thing. The movie.
That was Carmela.
The movie starts. Let's put it this way. It actually gets better as it goes. The movie does.
Yeah.
It gets a little better as you kind of get into it. And you kind of start, once you get out of this is not like a Halloween Friday the 13th slasher film. It's more like I said, When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah.
And you have a human, just an evil human here running around doing stuff. It does get a little better, but it's really strange because as it gets better, at the exact same time, it also gets kind of long in the tooth. Like at the same time. So you're getting a better film emerging from some bizarre shit in the beginning. And as it does, it feels longer and longer. Almost as if you're about ready to get into like a goofy, have fun movie like Neon Maniacs. And then they trick you into watching something that is, I don't know, a murderer, killer of the week movie kind of thing. Yeah. And,
because what's her name? Pinky Tuscadero. She's like all into her, career or whatever, doing the show and all that, and like you could tell, like her son, that guy. Oh man, there's a scene where he like puts is it her fishnet stockings or something on his head?
It tears on him. Yeah.
Oh man, it's just weird. I'm like, this guy's way out to lunch, man. So they do throw some red herrings, around. You know what I mean, to try to. But you can kind of, I don't know if you want to empathize for the people because of the way
nobody likable.
Pinky treats them. Right.
There's nobody likable in this movie at all. Nobody. No. The bands are not likable. No. The cops are not likable. The victims aren't very likable either, except the one cute little blonde that got away. Oh
yeah!
Oh dear! Oh dear!
I even like the cute old blonde, the nurse. I thought she was a cute old.
Now I wasn't into her too much, but she looked familiar. She kind of looked like Pamela Shoop a little bit. So that might have been
not as cute though.
No.
Twice as old.
And I'm not a Pamela Shoop fan either, but no, definitely not as cute as she is to begin with. So there was a little bit of stuff going on like that, and it was you almost were kind of rooting for the guy to kill somebody on time, which is kind of fun. That was kind of
5 more minutes.
Yeah,
5 more minutes.
You better get rid of the other one. You got to kill her. So, boy, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know whether or not I'm struggling whether or not to give this some. I don't think I'm gonna give it a Mount Great Bait Pop. I just don't think I do. I think it just gets it got to be too much of a movie that was trying to be an okay, decent movie, and it really should have stuck with not. Now this is not a horrible film, but remember, I tend to I don't gravitate toward the psycho thrillers.
Yeah,
I don't want to see somebody go absolutely batshit crazy and knife somebody. That's just not my thing. I'd rather have like a someone who's like a Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or something like that. I don't somebody like this or like the guy in When a Stranger Calls and all that. Unless you got a really incredible story around it.
Yeah,
doesn't really do much. Like you can have Silence of the Lambs is like that. It's got an incredible story around it. Whether you like it or not, I'm okay with it. Yeah, but there's a lot to chew on. And that this you gotta go with the guy or else it's not going to work for you. And there was really nobody likable. You don't really root for anybody. So basically, you just root for everybody just to die in a big explosion at the end. Hopefully, the amps exploding. That's what I was hoping. The band's amps exploding.
So they get electrocuted.
Yeah. So, so I think I'm going to on New Year's Evil.
Pooping on it.
Yeah, but I think I've explained myself well enough to know that it's not certainly far from the worst thing. I can't recommend it for someone who's into my taste. That's all. Right. What do you think?
I can't really poop on it.
I didn't think you would. You like the Descent to the Madness kind of stuff.
A little bit. And I guess I liked how
the band rocked.
Yeah. I like the dance moves a lot, the shuffling. No, but no. I mean, I liked what happened and how it happened, I guess. But it basically the ending was just the setup for a part 2. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it kind of took away from the rest of it for me, thinking, oh, well, that's the only reason that was there is for the part 2. So whatever.
Right.
But I must say it was okay. It was an okay film. I didn't really enjoy it a whole lot, but so it's gonna have to be another real mild grape ape up for me. It's okay. It's not one I'm gonna go back to. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad to know that was Pinky Tuscadero, because when I was a little guy, I had a big crush, and I've only seen like that episode maybe once or twice in my life, the Happy Days one.
Right. And she reprised the role. I know she reprised the role in another series. Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved her when I was a kid. Oh, might have been one of my first little crushes as a kid.
There you go.
I kept thinking, who is that? I don't know, but I just, for some reason, I have this pleasant feeling when I see her.
Well, hey, Harley, I have given you Pinky and made a Wicked Witch comment all in the same week. So guess what? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
There you go. Right. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna
Frosty would say. Right. No, he says Happy Birthday.
That's right. Happy Birthday. So I'm gonna poop on New Year's Evil, but I think I explained why. Harley can't poop on a canon film where people are going crazy. So it's not gonna happen.
No, and my Carmela was in it too. Oh,
yes. And then Carmela. I'm giving a mild wacky grape ape up to Neon Maniacs. What'd you do with that one? Did you give that one a mild grape ape up too, or did you poop on her?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I gave it a mild because it was interesting enough. I
loved it. Nice.
I liked the beginning. The rest of it was poopy, but I liked the beginning a lot, actually.
All right. Well, there we go. So, welcome to 2019. 2018 was not too bad. Not too bad. I've had a lot worse years. It wasn't perfect, but when are they? So
exactly.
All right. Well, I don't know what we're doing next week, but I can guarantee you one thing. It will be the first show of 2019. That's right. Hey. So until then, folks, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.